Is using dark web search engines considered a third-party search? Hey guys, my name is Anthony Bandiero, attorney and senior legal instructor with Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training. Also with Zachy from Ohio, a cop in Ohio, and one of our newer search and seizure instructors. Bringing you the Roadside Chat from Irving, Texas. So guys, this is going to be a little longer than usual, but I think it's going to be worth every second of your time. Do you think it'll be worth every second?
Oh, absolutely.
This is good stuff. This is the future here, right? This is actually looking to the future. So bear with me. It's worth your time. So, little background for my officer. When a suspect is identified, another company is employed to conduct a dark web search, which includes open source information, including IP addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, physical locations, social media, images, online dating relationships, vehicle information, online apps. You get the idea. The whole litany of things that you can get from these third-party data sources. And the search provides real-time and historical information, which allows you to see into the daily routine of individuals. By the way, this comes from an officer in Indiana who happens to be a long-term follower of the channel, and I want to thank him for that. I believe the third-party doctrine, as we once saw it, bank records and such, has changed with all the data available to us today. Courts are going to start catching up to this basic level of intrusion, right? It's just something, it's fundamentally different than it was in like the 1970s. And maybe he says the mosaic theory comes into play. We're gonna get to this. So bear with me. It is my opinion that if we look into the daily lives of others, where we travel, where we live, who we associate with, where we drive, it could become a mosaic theory type of analogy. All right, now normally he says we use this for heinous crimes, but what about, mission creep, right? It all starts with the terrorists, and then it goes down to the speeder. So let's establish some fundamental doctrines. Number one is what my friend is talking about. The bank record case is Miller. Miller is a 1976 case, which basically said that Miller gave he gave checks and deposit slips to the bank to cash and to and so forth. And the federal government, or actually it might have been a state government, but the government got those records to convict him for some various crimes, right? And he says, hey, I have a reasonable expectation of privacy in those records. I'm not expecting that my deposit slips and my voided checks or whatever and deposited checks are going to be in the hands of the government. So you violated my rights. And the U.S. Supreme Court actually said no, because you voluntarily handed that information over to a third party. This became the famous third party doctrine. Okay, now fast forward to today. So bank records are fundamentally different. I think we all can agree than 1976. 1976 was a cash society, right? Even if you were married, you probably were allowed to have a little bit of cash. Maybe back then, not much. But today, it's a debit card and credit card society. Now we're moving to Bitcoin and so forth. So everything that you're doing, not everything, but a lot of things that you're doing are going to be traceable through your record. So if I got a hold of your debit card, credit card, and so forth, I pretty much know everything about you. I know your religion. I know what you like to eat. I know where you're hanging out at. I can pretty much get you a course GPS style mapping. So it's just different today. And now enter Carpenter. Carpenter is the mosaic theory, as my friend also mentioned. The mosaic theory comes from this idea, and Carpenter is a cell site location information download. The federal government requested, without probable cause, demanded that a cell phone company give them location information on Carpenter, which placed him at the scene of the crime. No warrant, no probable cause, just basically subpoena. And the U.S. Supreme Court said, hey, hold up. That if you can get access without a warrant to people's cell site location information, which is now, the old days was triangulation, right? Remember the old days, like you can get a guy for 50 to 100 yards, but now it's down to the 3 feet, right? If you can get all that information without a warrant, you essentially have a tracking device on every American in the country. So the Carpenter mosaic theory is that if you can gather that much information, even though the person has maybe arguably voluntarily given that cell site location information to the carrier, Well, if the government can get their hands on that, it pretty much defeats the purpose of the Fourth Amendment, which is to give some people some privacy, some freedom, but yet balance the interests of law enforcement. Going back to the question, here's where we're at. You're making case law, right? There's not a lot of case law about dark web searches. Right now, the consensus is by the lower courts is that this information is publicly available. They are me, you, we are putting information out there on social media and apps and so forth. And if the cops happen to be able to grab that information, they can use it for an investigation. But where's the future? Look at Minority Report, where the guy, Tom Cruise walks into the mall and they're taking pictures of his eyeballs and stuff like that. The future is likely that the Supreme Court is going to expand or apply the mosaic theory to these dark web searches. I really do believe that, because if it's unchecked, it's just, you're not going to have any freedom, right? It's just, but right now, as it is today, it's, I don't think that we're there. I don't think we're there yet, but we're getting there. So right now, the way it works, I think we're fine. But eventually, the amount of information is going to be so much that's going to implicate the Fourth Amendment. But that's really all I have for you. But actually, I have one more thing. I am working on a class called Technology Searches. Maybe the name will be different. But I'm talking about working on a class with technology searches, which will go deep into drones, social media searches, this type of stuff, poll cams, and so forth. All right. So look for that course by early next year. All right. Anything else to add?
No, that's an excellent question.
Excellent question, and hopefully keep the conversation started going. If you like what we're doing here, hit like, subscribe, share with your friends, and that's all we have for you. We're going to go deliver a great class, advanced traffic stops to a room full of Texas cops, and it's streaming online too today. But see you guys in the future.